edition of my personal best coaching webinar. Today, we are going to talk about growth zones, comfort, stretch, growth zones, how to kind of move those into goals. So the idea of this webinar is to understand where we currently are, what our comfort zone would look like, where we live, and then what's preventing us from creating the behavior that we want to grow into, what's preventing us from moving up and into our fullest potential. So, as I said, we're going to move into these zones of growth and development. This is important to understand, mainly because of the way we see the world. We don't see the world as it is. Instead, we see the world through a series of lenses. These lenses have been created by the stories of our past. So the lives we've lived, our parents, our school, our community, it could be our friends, the social media we look at, the news we read. There are a ton of lenses that we are putting on that creates our belief system. And it's this belief system that creates how we act and behave. The comfort zone, this zones of growth, as it were, we tend to live in this area of comfort. It's called our comfort zone. It's important that we understand what's in that comfort zone. There is always a sense of control, there's safety, but there's also this stagnation and boredom. When I'm constantly living in my comfort zone, I'm really not growing. I'm not getting better at what I do. And remember, the number one job of the brain is to keep us safe and alive. And so it's always scanning for potential danger. And so we're sitting in our comfort zone. Well, we want to stretch and grow, but to get to stretch and growth, we have to go through this thing called the fear zone. And this fear zone is what keeps us comfortable. The fear zone in there, as we step in, we'll find excuses to not grow. We're not confident at something. We focus on the problems and the obstacles and we procrastinate. That's all that lives. There's plenty more that lives in there, but that's what happens in the fear zone. As a sports coach, I see this all of the time. When I'm at practice, my kids that I'm working with are executing on skills flawlessly because there is no pressure. They're doing all sorts of skills and tricks with cones, but then we get to the weekend and suddenly these kids are no longer as comfortable with the ball at their feet, and they're typically just kicking the ball, they're panicking, they're worrying, and all of that calm, confident skill work we've worked on goes out the window. Why? Because this is the fear zone that they step into. Pressure is on. They might make themselves look foolish. They might make a mistake. A goal might be scored because what they're doing. And so this fear zone, they don't want to go into that world. So they go back into their comfort zone, and their comfort zone is dealing with the ball quickly, panicking. And what happens is they play worse because of this fear of mucking up. What we want to try and do is understand that beyond the fear zone is this stretch zone, right? That's when we face challenges, we problem solve, we see opportunities. It's this acquisition of new skills, but we've got to be comfortable doing these new skills and move past that fear of failure. We really are expanding our comfort zone. We live in our stretch zone. We're expanding it. It's not something we just bulk on out here. It's actually, we're going to grow and expand this comfort zone. So once we actually get good at something, once we've stretched something and moved into our growth zone, once we've stretched something, it moves into our comfort zone. And guess what surrounds it again? Fear zone. And so we constantly have to be aware of, can I step into the fear of doing something new, growing, stretching, to then become better? And when we get into our growth zone, this is real knowing of purpose. This is meaning. This is ambitious goals, vision, right? Talent development, self-growth, and self-motivation. There's a lot of really cool things that live in this stretch and growth zone. But to get there, we've got to get out of our comfort zone. And to get out of our comfort zone, we've got to face the fear of failure, discomfort, um, you know, potential obstacles. We've got to face this and step through that fear zone. So here's how we're gonna get through this. What we do is we have our dreams and goals, right? We look at our dreams and goals, and I personally want to read 52 books in 2024. That's one of my dreams and goals. But obviously, outside of my comfort zone, reading a book a week feels really uncomfortable. What if I don't do it? What if I fail? What if I'm not capable of doing this work? So reading the books, that's in my stretch and growth zone. So first thing I've got to do is start stretching myself. And so I'm actually taking a quick reading class. And so I'm increasing the speed in which I read. It's in my stretch zone. Part of the activity that he's got me doing is engaging I'm right-handed, so engaging my left side. So I'm cleaning my teeth in the morning with my left hand. I'm learning to write with my left hand, which feels very uncomfortable. And you might wonder, what's the point of this? But this is a stretch zone activity. It's this acquisition of a new skill, which will then allow me to step into this growth, ambitious goal idea of reading 52 books. And then suddenly at the end of next year, I am now going to be a person who has read 52 books in a year. I am going to be the person who's read a book a week. And all of that knowledge that I am going to accumulate just through reading these books. And so we start with our dreams and goals. We come back to our comfort zone and we identify the fear that's holding us back. Once we identify the fear, we can then examine that fear and say, is this real? Is it something that's really going to cause me harm? Or can I embrace the fear, step through it, and start working on some of these stretch zone activities to then help me grow? And that's the process that we do. It's nice and simple. When we're looking at expanding our abilities, we've got to start looking through this process. It all starts understanding our comfort zone, but then we're going to get into goals, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, risky, time-bound, exciting, and relevant. Okay, smarter goals. I've talked about this in previous workshops. My goal of reading 52 books in 2024. Is it specific? Very. Reading 52 books. Is it measurable? Very. 52. It's got a number in there. 2024. Is it actionable? Yes, I pick up a book every day. Is it risky? Somewhat, because that's a lot of reading. I've got to put in the time to read a book a week. And so I've actually got to work at that. Time down, yes, in a year. Is it exciting? It is for me, because I want to learn and grow. And is it relevant? Yes, very much so. I want to gain the knowledge. So once I've got the goal, I can then look at what's the danger zone, what's the fear zone, what's stopping me from doing this, and then create stretch zone activities that get me to step out. It pulls me out of my comfort zone, which then helps me grow and move into the growth zone. Does that all make sense? That's how we're going to go. Your homework, your project in this is identify the goals first. So you start out here on this right-hand side in the circles, right? We're going to work on some of these goals. Then we go back into our comfort zone and understand what's in our comfort zone right now. And is this something that's outside of that? Then we identify the fear zone content. What's going to stop me from stepping into that? Is it fear of failure? Is it potentially looking dumb? Is it the fact that you fear of success and something else might be added on? Whatever is in that fear zone activity. Then create some stretch zone activities. So for me, writing with my left hand is a stretch zone activity. Whatever it is, I identify the stretch zones activities. These are things that you're going to do to help you move into the growth zone, to help you look at those big, audacious goals and move through them. So it's nice and simple. It's a simple process. There's also something that I'm going to add into these documents. Will be downloadable from the end of this webinar. I've created some of the categories for you in your life: body, mind, spirit, etc. So you can see mine is very much in the mind and potentially in the hobbies. What am I doing well? Well, I am reading. Where do I need to improve? I want to read more. So I've actually scheduled time in my calendar to read for 45 minutes a day. And there's my goal in the mind, right? How do I move through this? Nice, easy process. Helps you understand what you're doing well and helps you understand the areas that you could do with improving. You don't need to do all of these. You don't need to go for every one of these. Pick one or two. Do something that you want to do within these areas. That's it. I want to thank you very much for your time. You can go online, mpbcoaching.com, to get more content. There's blog content on there. I'm updating on that all the time. My YouTube channel will have this video if you want to rewatch it, and in that will be the downloadable documents for you to be able to kind of move through this. I'll be posting regularly. If you want to reach out to me, mpbcoaching.com, there's a schedule a call, or you can email me, tony@mpbcoaching.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Anything that I can do to help, I would love to help you. The idea of this webinar is, can we identify what is in our comfort zone, what lives there? In my comfort zone lives excuses, not feeling good about myself, insecurity. I find that I find comfort in these because I can make excuses to stay there. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of looking a little bit awkward and dumb. These are all the things that keep me there. But I know outside of that is the stretch zone activities. Me reading, me doing these webinars. I set out this year to do 12 webinars. I have now completed 12 webinars. Have they been good? Not brilliant, but at least I've gone and done 12 webinars that have taken me out of my comfort zone and into this growth zone where I know I can step onto a webinar and present. So that's what I would pass on to you. I challenge you. Think about where you want to go, where you want to grow, how you want to stretch. Use this activity to get you there. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next